Hey everybody. Now, if you saw my last video, you know this was my last setup for my beauty headshot. A speed light reflector, and I used a second speed light in the backdrop. But today I want to give you an alternative if you want that power, if you need the more power. And I love more power when I'm doing, clothing shots and so forth. But some of the pricing for, the powerful speed lights or studio strobes is very, very expensive. I mean, the pro photos are upwards of $2,000 for one head. But there was this company that I dealt with a long time ago when I was starting out in studio. I get off the road shooting entertainment, and I started up a quick studio, and I just needed lights quick. And I was starting out, I was poor, like really poor. But I still needed strobes for the studio. And I remember my first studio strobes were the Palsy Buff Alien Bees. Oh my God, these lights. I got a couple of the 800s and a 400, I think. And I remember my very first shoot. Like I got them in, and I played with them in the studio a little bit. But my very first shoot was at a country club golf course or something. I was doing headshots. And really just learning these lights. And I went there, I set up, I got my headshots done. There was one more person to do, and I had one of the stands by the kitchen door, those swinging back and forth doors, and of course somebody came out of it, whipped the door open, and I thought the light was far enough away, but the way they whipped it open, it knocked down the stand and broke the light. And I still had, other lights, and I had one backup, so it was okay that way. But I remember sending it in to the company saying, hey, listen, this fell, can you repair it? I'm maybe 3 days later, I received a brand new one in the mail. And it was no questions asked. And I told them what happened. Like I told them it was my fault, I dropped it. And I got another one in the mail, no charge. From that day forward, I loved the company. But as I grew and became a arrogant photographer, you want better things, and you want to, the name brand stuff. I moved away from Palsy Buff, which, was probably stupid because the lights were incredible, and I used them for years and years, which just never failed, absolutely never failed. And with that kind of customer service, it's just dumb not to stick with them. And I went with the bigger name companies and had horrible customer service, but anyway. So today's video is about an inexpensive way to light fashion, or if you need that power, because when you're shooting clothing and so forth, you need 5.6 up to f8, to really have crisp, clean images for the clothing company, the designer, or whoever you're shooting for. And even with headshots, I like an f6, f8, because they want everything in focus in a headshot, not just an eye. And again, a lot of people can't afford the new lights that are out there. So let me just show you what I got. So this is the Paul Buff White Lightning Ultra 1200. Yeah, this puppy is old. It has a musty smell to it, but I got it off of eBay. The difference with Paul Buff and other companies is their watt seconds ratings are true to life versus other people's. Like, this is a really, really powerful light. It's not a 1200. I think they rated it 600 or 800 or something like that, but I don't care because I've used these before. And it was a rental many, many, many years ago. Now, the biggest problem with these is, they don't have remotes for them. You literally have to use a sync cord. But it's not a problem because it has a slave built into the back. And you can actually throw a tiny little flash on your camera, point the flash backwards so it's not affecting the picture, and it'll set this off. I'm just going to use my remote with a second speed light, because I'm going to use speed lights for the back or something like that, or for hair lights or side lights or whatever, and it'll set this off automatically, so I don't have to worry about it. And I'm in studio, so don't worry about other flashes going off or anything like that. But for the price of this, I don't care what I have to do. It's an inexpensive way to get power in the studio without breaking the bank. And these beasts last forever. They just go and go and go. And you can still buy flash tubes for these, so you don't have to worry about that. But I paid under $50 for this. And that included shipping. So you can't go wrong. I mean, yeah, once in a while you're going to get a bad one, or somebody that doesn't know anything about it and they don't know if it works or whatever. But if you get one that, hey, it's tested, it works, and it's a good price. They have the 1200, the 1800, the 1600, the 800. There's all different kinds of this, and even the Alien Bees. The 800s, they're pretty powerful little lights. For studio in comparison to a speed light, if that's what you want. But I'll set this up and give you an idea of what it can do, and then I'll do a quick shoot with it as well so you can see it. Now, obviously, it's a lot heavier than a speed light, so I'm going to have to rearrange my pole here a little bit. But let's take a look, see what it can do. We'll get some readings on this, and we'll go from there. So, as you can see, it's a bit bigger, more wieldy, but it's heavier, but I put a sandbag at the end, so it just evens it out a little bit. This on a regular stand, just a decent regular stand will be okay, or a non-boom arm, just boom. And, when I use a light like this, I'm usually using, a 7-foot umbrella, which is absolutely magical with that much power. Now, of course, this has some rust to it. So it may be a little bit of a chore getting the umbrella in correctly and to hold, but no, it's not bad. So the only question is, do I need the reflector on here? I do like to use it, but I want to see the pattern of it. And here's your creep issue. You don't want to tighten it too much so you don't break it, because I just don't know exactly how good this hold is anymore. Usually it's all metal with their hardware from back in the day, unlike today. Now, this is going to be a little bit more intimidating in a model's face than a speed light, but hopefully you can, distract them from that. It should be interesting. And I really want to see what kind of power this thing puts out, because it is really old, and I don't know how much power it lost because of the age. And as you can see by the back, it's just everything's just a manual setup. Now I'm just hoping the cord is long enough so I don't need an extension cord. Not that I don't have one, it's just a pain. Moment of truth. So the modeling light will come in very, very handy, because as you see, I took away the LEDs on the side because it does have a modeling light, which in this case is just a regular light bulb. Well, yeah, it's got some power. Wow. Compared to a speed light, that's just, I'll definitely be turning it down quite a bit. So like I said, if you just have a little speed light, this one, just goes up, but like if you have one that can rotate and so you rotate it behind you while you're shooting, and it's still going to set that off. Like every time, it just works. So that's one way. The other way, which is the way I'm going to do it, is I'll use my regular remote and my regular speed light, and I'll flip you around here. So So if I set up my speed light on the backdrop, and remember I can do this, you know, with a hair light or anything else on however I want to do it. But while I'm taking the shot, your backdrop light's going to go off. So we're good there. At f11, we're about 1/4 of power on that strobe now. So I'm down to 1/4 of power with this. And remember, I was blowing out the backdrop at half power still. So being able to do this, I'm going to be able to get rapid fire without having to worry about recycling. You know, I have the modeling light built in. It's all one shot. It's never going to run out of battery power. And when I go to a full length or a large umbrella, you know, which I will, I'll show you a shoot with that because it's, you know, it's a powerhouse. And I'm just using my old remote and the speed light to set this off, and there's nothing to worry about. Everything works perfectly. So a $49 power of 1200 watt seconds speed light, you can't beat it. It works, it's fantastic. And if you need that extra power, there it is. But we'll do a shoot and I'll show you the shoot and see what you think. Anyway, have a great day, and you know, look up some of these, but just be careful when you buy them because they are old. So you're gonna get some bad ones here and there. But you know, if you have someone that tested it and they have good ratings, you know, buy them up. They're inexpensive and they work. And they're great for this kind of stuff. I'll probably buy one more just to have as a backup. At $49, I couldn't fix a new one for that. So the shipping would cost more than that. But anyway, Palsy Buff, whether you're getting new stuff, the Alien Bees, absolutely, I can't recommend them enough. I don't have any here, like I don't use them on a regular basis, but when I did start out, they were solid, the color was solid, the customer service was just unreproachable. They were just incredible. And now these old units are, I can't even tell you how old this thing is, and it's still working perfectly. Everything is fine on it. So that's impressive to me. Anyway, have a good day, and hope you enjoy the shoot. I apologize for this video being this long, but I really wanted to put this out there because there are a lot of photographers that just can't afford the big lights, the expensive lights. And, you know, buying a 600 watt second strobe off of eBay for $40 or $50 is a really good option. And no matter what, like I'm using the Profoto Speedlight, but you can use a Godox or a Young New or whatever the heck they're called for this, and it'll work just fine. And you know, the funny thing is yeah, it can be awkward sometimes because you're using a Speedlight to set off the strobe, you know, and sometimes it won't hit or something like that. But you know, little minor adjustments, and it works fine. And you have the power, like, you know, this kind of power for that kind of money is incredible. You know, it allows you to do things that you couldn't do with just speedlights, and at a price that's actually cheaper than speedlights. So here I put the speedlight just facing up towards the big studio strobe to set off the strobe. That's it. You know, I'm using the remote, and you can pick up a Godox remote used for $20, $30, and a little speed light used for $40 or $50, and then this giant powerhouse strobe for, you know, for $50, $60, and they work great. You know, and I'm just using umbrellas. So I mean, legitimately, you can get a whole studio set up for, you know, under $200, if not less. You know, just being creative with getting this old stuff. And you know, these lights are heavy. They're built extremely well. You know, the housing on this one is all aluminum, and it's thick aluminum, and it's heavy. But you know, this thing is how old, and it still works fine. It doesn't miss. There's no issues with it. You can still buy bulbs. You can still buy flash tubes. You know, that's a regular household light bulb in there. And then when I got this in, you know, like the reflector was dented. I just pulled it out. It was, you know, like I just literally just pulled and tried to straighten out the best I could. And you know, I'm going to do another shoot with this light with a giant umbrella and show you. Now, believe me, you can use a speed light in a giant umbrella, but you're not going to get the f-stop that you would want for fashion shooting, or the depth that you need for that kind of shooting. But the color was pretty damn good on this light. There wasn't any variations, unless I tried to fire it too fast and didn't hit recycle like any other place or any other light. But man, you can really do some creative lighting inexpensively, and have the power that you need without breaking the bank with this. And it's just an alternative for people. And I know, like, a lot of people, it's not the name brand, it's not Profoto, it's not Broncolor. And I know it's nice to have because it's easier, and everything's, there's no TTL in this, it's all manual. There's no special features. It's just, you turn it up, you turn it down. There's no digital display. But if you're getting the photos you need with a $45, 600, 700 watt second light, why not use it? That's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this shoot, and I'll talk to you soon.